Morning. Good morning. I'd like to call the combined meetings of Tulsa Airport's Improvement Trust and Tulsa Airport Authority to order. We need to approve the minutes of the combined meetings September 11, 2025, TAIT and TAA.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, operating and financial reports.
Good morning. I'll kick things off. Happy October 9th. We have quite a bit of things to update you on, but the first thing I wanted to talk about was the federal shutdown. Just because it's top of mind, it's in the news, everybody is concerned about the impact it's going to have to their travel plans with fall break coming up. Fall break starts for many districts tomorrow. And I just found out yesterday that fall break is an entire week off for a lot of school districts next week. And so we have a lot of families that are planning trips, and our marketing and comms team has really been focused on telling people today there's not a disruption. It's a day-to-day evaluation, and our job is to communicate when there is a disruption, what that looks like for our customers so that they can plan for it. There's a lot of discussion from our industry associations about the impacts. ACI has 3 calls a week about it. AAAE has 1 call a week about it. And just coordination and information sharing between airports. So we know what's being said in terms of one of the hot topics was that there's a staffing shortage, which is causing this disruption, but that's not the case right now. When we've seen disruptions in other markets, it's because people are calling out. There's plenty of staff to operate the control towers. It's just that, you know, some people are choosing to call out. Thankfully in Tulsa, we have not had that situation. So in Tulsa, our federal partners say it's business as usual. Paul reached out to each of our tower managers and to TSA, and they are doing well right now. Our marketing team went out and purchased snacks and goodie boxes to put in break rooms for the different teams. And then we'll start, as we did last time when this happened, reaching out to tenants to invite them to provide a meal to our different federal partners, whether it's at Riverside or here at T-Well. But so far, no disruption. I also want to thank Frank for thinking about how this might impact our tower construction. He had been talking with them in advance of the shutdown and brought it to my attention that this could cause a delay. We were able to get Senator Langford's office engaged to help get a waiver so that the FAA team can stay on site and continue to work on the tower project despite the shutdown. So good news for us. But any questions about the shutdown from you all? Okay. All right. So other things that have happened, we had a great 918 day celebration with our volunteers and tenants. It's funny because a lot of people don't understand what 918 means. And I think with, you know, cell phones and everybody's area code's different now. It's just a great reminder that this is Tulsa and this is who we are. We had a wonderful support from our vendors and partners for our golf tournament. We raised $45,000. This is money that our employees then can direct to community organizations. You know, we can't use airport dollars to support nonprofit organizations. And so after we pay the expenses from the tournament, the balance is directed by an employee-led charitable giving committee. We had about a dozen or so people show up for Challenge Air, which was last weekend at Riverside Airport. I want to thank you all for being sponsors of that event. We had over 100 kids go up on flights. Even Paul got to go up. No, after all the kids, they took the volunteers. It's true. After all the kids got to go, they did let volunteers go up on a flight. And so that was a treat for, actually Paul's son was the one who was invited and Paul tagged along. But it was so much fun. It's such a great event that ties aviation with service to our community. And Austin wasn't in the picture and Catherine wasn't in the picture, but great turnout by our team. We had some fun with the kickoff of the Outsiders show in Tulsa, and our volunteers participated on Tuesday wearing Outsider shirts and giving away cookies. And my mom is actually a volunteer on Tuesday, and she said some of the like Broadway people came in during her shift and stopped and took a picture with them. They were so excited to see people in Tulsa like totally embracing and welcoming the Outsiders crew. So that was a lot of fun. Um, also on Tuesday was the Oklahoma Warriors Honor Flight. We had the largest crowd we've ever had for their homecoming. Such a great event. So it's a privilege for us to be able to support them in this way. And they're coming back in April with another flight. So if you missed this one, we'll get you the April dates, and I encourage you to come out with your families and help welcome these heroes home. And then this Sunday, we're kicking off Frontier service to Denver, twice weekly service on Wednesdays and Sundays. The flight departs at 7:38 p.m. And so we'll have a gate party here. The flight, actually inbound flight, is really full. And the departing flight is also pretty full. So it's a great inaugural kickoff to their return to Tulsa, and look forward to their continued success. And then I did mention fall break, and so we have our Storytime partnership with the library, but we'll do trick or treating. We have all of our airlines participating. The kids wear costumes and they walk around the terminal and trick or treat. It's kind of the kickoff to Halloween, but a lot of fun. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bernetta.
And so, Lorraine, this slide compares August 24 to August 25 in our fiscal year to date for the 2 months. We have a great story. Revenues are above where they were last year, and expenses are below where they were last year. The revenues were mainly due, we had terminal rate increases. Our terminal concessions are doing well, especially Clear, and then we have the lounge. Our park revenue is doing well, and our CFCs, which we also have rate increases on both of those. Our expenses are under, and it's mainly due to, we had some consulting last year related to some IT, and our marketing campaign hasn't got kicked off as soon as it did last year. So our net is $6.1 million. It's $791,000 over last year's fiscal year to date. Food and beverage was down comparing August to August, still up for the fiscal year to date comparison. The coffee sales were down in August, and I think also the alcohol, but they're still up over where they were last fiscal year to date. Retail had a good month. It's 2% above last year, mainly due to Concourse B sales were up. I think we had a little bit shift in our passengers from A to B for the August to August. Parking activity is down, but our revenue is still up. The greatest shift was in the parking garage. I think we had 900 less ticket pulls than we did last August, but we had 200 more in valet. So, and with the rate increase, our revenue is still above where it was last year. Rent-a-car transaction days are down 89%. And RVS operations were down, but I think we really had a good August last year. So that's accounts for some of that. So we'll see where it goes. 23,000 is a pretty good one. Right. And our flow fees are still doing well. And our plane cargo continues to trend down. And our landed weight was actually down slightly comparing August to August, still up for the fiscal year to date comparison. The passenger airlines have more landed weight, but the cargo had less. Unplanned passengers were down slightly comparing August to August, and they were up like 0.46% over comparing the fiscal year to date to fiscal year. And this slide shows the calendar year comparison, and we're down 2.2% of the last accounting. This compares budget to actual. So we're in a really good place where it comes to budget. We're 10% over in revenues and 12% under in expenses. It's mainly due to the passenger airline revenue, our terminal related, our rental car commissions and parking. The expenses are under mainly due to so the health insurance doesn't kick in, the rate increase doesn't kick in until January, and then we were in our consulting and marketing incentives. So our net of 6.1 million is 1.6 million above the budgeted net. This is our cash flow statement. The end of August, we have 117.1 million dollars in the bank. It's 408 days of cash on hand, a conservative way. Moody's is a little bit more liberal with their calculation, and it would be over 800 days of cash on hand. We had capital payments related to construction of about 5.5 million, and we had grant receipts of 7.2 million. We also received money for the Taylor the Western. And are there any questions?
Questions?
No, great report.
Thank you. Number 4.
Number 4 is approve additional premium for workers' compensation insurance. In the amount of $12,857 to account for the change in actual payroll subsequent to the annual audit. So when we go to market in March, we have an estimated payroll on our application. So that's giving it out.
Second. Beverly, second.
Second?
Second, yeah.
Okay.
All in favor? Number 5.
Number 5, I need to change the amounts on number 5. So it'll be $251,650. And it's for 3 of the power turn and merge sections. So approve award of contract to Control Touch Systems, a sole source provider, in the amount of $251,650 for 3 sets of power turn and merge sections in the outgoing baggage handling system. This is going to replace our old conveyor sections and add variable frequency drive controls. Our budget for this is $200,000. Our team submitted 2 sets to fit within the budget, but we have 7 total. 4 of them were replaced during the ticket counter remodel project, and these 3 were last replaced in 2003. We spent about 20 grand a year in maintenance, so it's time just to get them all up to date. So we're going to approval by number 5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6.
Number 6, approved purchase of a 2025 Ford F-150 4x4 Super Crew cab from Bill Knight Ford in the amount of $50,665 under state contract. This is for our operations team. They recommend approval of item number 6.
Questions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Number 7, approved purchase of 3 passenger boarding bridge canopies from Hubner Manufacturing Corporation, a sole service provider, in the amount of $56,133.64. This is another operating capital budget item. Our budget was $54K, and a recommended approval of item number 7.
All that question,
Yes,
a sole source provider, what constitutes it? Yeah.
so many times a sole source provider is, they are the only company that can manufacture that product to fit with the systems that we have. That's probably
And
the
then we
most
compare
basic.
their bid to our estimate.
Yes, so if it exceeds, then we might investigate or ask more questions. But this is within what we were expecting.
And so like for the jet bridge, it's going on a particular model of jet bridge that we already have. So we have to purchase the canopy that fits with that model.
Yes, and like for item number 5 above, there's the sole source provider Control Touch. That whole system is run only by Control Touch. We can only buy their products for the system that we have today. So that's a good example too.
Yeah.
And I would just add, anytime we have a sole source purchase, the purchaser has to sign that affidavit. Acknowledging that that's the only provider too, so. I checked
First statute. Yeah.
per statute.
Thank you. Motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Okay, number 8, approved purchase of 2 custom-built tow chains for the outbound baggage system carousels from Unified Supply, a sole source provider, in the amount of $98,070.40. Our budget for this is $100,000. These tow chains are custom built for our carousels in the outbound baggage system. And we do not have any in stock today. They don't make these anymore for our baggage system, and so we need the inventory in case one goes out. And recommend approval.
I was having a good time trying to envision what these tow chains look like when you look at the price on them. Any questions?
Just a quick question, what's the life cycle of a tow chain?
I do not know the answer to that, but I'll have to get back to you unless Brian, you have?
I can speak towards that. The carousels were put in back in 2003. The first set of tow chains, we really started having issues with about 5-6 years ago. And we did a replacement of all of them at that time. We're starting to see some wear on the ones that we did replace. And so we want to make sure that we have tow chains in-house so that if one needs to be replaced, we don't have huge operational impact there.
Just curious how many times we have to do.
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah, we made quite, and you're well aware, I mean, all of you are, we made a lot of investment into our baggage handling system over the past 3 years. You know, just maintaining it. It is an outdated system. I think Alexis went to a conference and had a question that she brought back about when do we have it on our capital improvement plan to replace, and I think it's 2030. I believe so. 20.
The technology we have in place is from 2003, and that, that was the state of the art in 2003. But today, they don't even, the tow chain is going on a carousel system that the manufacturer doesn't even exist anymore. That's why we're having to custom make the tow chains. There's new technology that is much more efficient. It doesn't have the individual motors that drive it. There's magnetic systems now. The baggage carousel technology is just totally different, and so, but it's expensive. And so it's just, when are we willing to feel that pain? Do we want to just keep piecing ours together, which our team has done an excellent job. One of my predecessors used to say, besides the runway, the second most important investment we make is in that outbound baggage conveyor system, because people want their suitcases when they get to their destination. And so even though the airlines are liable for that, we play a critical role in making sure that happens. So.
Thank you. Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Number 9.
Number 9 is to approve an acknowledgement of a second amendment to a capital projects agreement between the city of Tulsa and Spirit Aerosystems. So the city has provided some incentives to Spirit to offset some capital investments that they're making on TAIT property. And they've asked that TAIT just acknowledge that they've extended the amount of time Spirit has to make those investments.
So just to give that some background, there are a number of jobs associated with that incentive package. That's for more time to reach that actual job number.
Okay.
We've had to do that with other companies over the years. Yeah.
Approval.
Sorry.
All in favor? Number 10.
Item 10, accept bid and approve award of construction contract to Lochner Incorporated. The amount of $1,179,611.08 for the FAA Instrument Landing System Cable Replacement Project. Excuse me. This project provides funding for replacement of approximately 12,000 lineal feet, two-way 4-inch conduit, as well as the fiber optic cabling. TAIT received 2 bids. Second bid was $2,108,540. Engineer's estimate was $2,475,000. About 110% above the lowest bidder. Yes, that is a huge discrepancy. We had the consultant really dig into Wagner. They have never worked here before that I'm aware of, but they've done work for the city of Tulsa. They worked for the University of Arkansas. They also did some work at the Northwest Arkansas National Airport. We do have bonds for all of our projects. The contractor has to provide bonds. So if for some reason this contractor cannot perform, we still get the project done for the same amount because of the bonds. The largest difference in the bid happened to be in the installation of the duct itself. We have two 4-inch duct banks or two 4-inch conduits. Excuse me. And inside those, we have three 1¼ inch conduits. It's called an inner duct. This contractor is going to pull both of those 4-inch ducts at the same time with the inner duct already in them. Their bid price per unit, lineal feet, is $39. The engineer's estimate is $125. Because if you have to pull more, twice as much, plus put the inner duct in after it's installed. We don't have a problem with this contractor from the research that we've done, we feel comfortable with them. If there's no questions, we recommend approval of item 10.
Any questions?
Move approval number 10.
All in favor?
Aye.
For 11.
Number 11 is approve award professional construction administration services agreement with Garver LLC in the amount not to exceed $170,631 for the FAA ILS cable replacement project. Again, for every construction project we have a construction admin contract for the consultant to watch and make sure the contractor puts it in her plans and specs. $171,000 for a roughly $1.2 million project seems a little offside. That's about 14% of the contract cost. The thing is, this is a 90-day calendar project. The consultant based their time upon their 90 days. They have to be out there at a full time, the contractor is. With this contractor, we really don't think it's going to take that long. However, this is a unit price contract for Garver. It is a not to exceed price with Garver. So if they don't use the time, we don't pay them. So, management recommend approval of item 11. No questions.
Question. So moved. Beverly motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 12.
Okay, so number 12 has to do with the next steps for our rental car and public parking expansion project. It's pretty exciting. I want to give you just a quick overview of how we got here. So we hired a consultant that came in and said, okay, here are the industry standard metrics that car rental operators need in order to be efficient. And you can see they're planning everything from how much time each car spends fueling and vacuuming to going through the car wash, how much space that they need at the customer service counters, and then storage. And they take that information and they married it with what our rental car operators say that they need. And so each step throughout this process, we had data, we met with the rental cars, we asked them to evaluate it, make sure that we're on target. They provided input and we would make adjustments. And so we took that information and said, okay, here's what we need. And we compared it. Here's what we have today. And here's what we need going forward. And that really helped us form our decision about what sites make the most sense for us. And so we started looking at sites, but knowing these are the key areas we wanted to focus on, customer service being number one. What does the customer who's flying into Tulsa want when they're traveling from a rental car operation? Is it efficient? And so it has to be efficient because rental cars are trying to control their costs, right? And spreading people out, it can be somewhat inefficient. We think about the future and like, how does this give us the ability to scale in the future if we need to? And then given our funding availability, is despite having $117 million, we can't spend it all on this project. And so thinking about how we will fund a new Conrack or rental car facility. And then our focus is on schedule too, because we are at capacity in the garage many days. And so finding a solution that gets us more garage parking as quickly as possible was a priority. And we started out looking at a lot of different sites. So all of these different sites were evaluated by the team. And we ended up narrowing it down to 2 sites, basically a remote site on either side of Virgin Street, which would be a busing site where we'd have a consolidated facility for the counters and for the operation. And we looked at the economy lot and putting the facility at the economy lot where it's still walkable. But then we'd have to relocate economy parking, and then we have a further busing operation for economy parking. And so while we were looking at that, another site came to mind. And so we started with this remote site. We said, okay, here's the total cost. This is kind of what the footprint would look like. You see on the north side of that site is their existing service centers. So the proximity to service centers would be very convenient for them. The operational efficiency was high there. It did come with a cost, an increased operating cost, because we would have to purchase buses and we would have to be responsible for the operating costs of having that operation. And some airports finance that with the CFC revenues, but we need our CFC revenues to pay for the actual physical infrastructure of the building. So it would be a hit to our operating budget for that additional operating cost. The second site that came after we decided the economy parking lot wasn't going to work was in a site adjacent to the garage, really between the garage and the quick turnaround area called QTA. And so once they started looking at this site, so on the ground level today, that's where the rental cars stage cars to go in and be fueled and cleaned and everything in between rentals. So the thought is we would add 4 levels to the garage there. We could go up higher than our existing garage facility, which would, and we consolidate all of the rental car operations into that new garage structure. Now, the challenges with this site are we're gonna have to build it while we're still providing maximum use of the space today. So construction phasing is going to be a challenge. We also have to get the permitting approved through the city that's going to allow us to construct facility, maybe even on top of some of the current QTA facilities. It's been done in other markets, so I feel confident that we can get that done here. So after discussing with the rental car operators, and let me tell you, the rental car operators have a very clear direction. They want the walkable solution. In their mind, the busing facility puts them at a disadvantage and they would lose business because people would just use Uber or Turo or another mode of transportation. So they were strongly advocating for a walkable site. And so the cost for this facility is $61 million for 4 levels. And what it'll allow us to do is move all the rental car operators there, open up those 500 spaces in our garage that are just across the street from the terminal building for Tulsa parkers to park. And then, you know, while it does have some pain points, we think that that's green, that's weird. It was orange on my computer. But we do, when we look side by side at the different operations, we can see like the remote site, while it's cheaper to build at grade, the long-term operating costs make it less desirable. And ultimately, the rental cars in the airport committee, and Mary was a part of that discussion, decided to go with the site that's here adjacent to the terminal building, which does have a short walk from the terminal to the facility. But when I travel, I go on maybe 14 or 15 trips a year. I know many of you travel. I'm always looking at where the rental car operation is located or where the TNC lots are located. And while it may seem far for some, it's not far. It's actually very doable and very easy. Our focus will be on how we assist those customers who may need wheelchair assistance or some additional assistance in getting over to the same facility, which is something we'll work with the rental car operators on. This is the site today. So you can see, I mean, it's underutilized today. We have very limited property to go vertical at the airport due to obstructions and things, so it made a lot of sense that we would utilize this site for a new facility. And then Frank, got this from our project manager, Trans Systems. Because we're trying to hit the goal of opening in 2028, we are going to embark on a new way of building and partnering with our design team. And so this today, contract action is to approve an award on an amount not to exceed $980,000 with Trans Systems. And this is for them to do design for plans from beginning up to 30%. And then what we'd like to do is go out to bid for a construction manager at risk contract that will work with the design team. So that as they design, we can start doing preliminary grade work and go out to bid for that project. While they're continuing the design of the structure, it'll allow for a more efficient phasing, and we hope having the construction contractor working with the design team, it'll be the most cost-effective solution as well. So, Frank, I think I read the agenda item okay. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add.
Recommend approval of item 12.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense from siting standpoint, operation standpoint. You got an underutilized site right next to where your operation, so makes a lot of sense.
I like that it's on the airport grounds too.
Yes.
Close to the terminal.
These guys did let me sit in on most of those meetings, and I was impressed with two things. This Trans Systems, the consultant, they came equipped with a lot of background information, but they were also real receptive to all the questions. You guys were like, you were relentless with questions. What about this? And what about that? And I could see them going, but they go back and get the information. So I feel really comfortable with what you guys came up with.
Are we planning anything new for the public parking areas or doing anything there? Just making more spaces or?
So definitely adding spaces in terms of technology,
What I had in mind was actually, I should say this, it was, some airports, they have the designated lights where you.
the green and red,
Green and red.
yes.
I was wondering if that would make, I know that's probably an expensive thing, but it would make sense maybe in the context of doing this.
Yeah, we've actually looked at that and it is expensive. And, what, we actually have a plan, and Paul, if you wanna talk about the
Yeah.
technology investment we're gonna make.
So Brian and his team went out, as we were budgeting for this fiscal year and did some research to see what would make the most sense, like from a cost standpoint. What we found is there's a system out there that will allow, us to enter the number of spaces. And it tracks through AI, number in and number out, so it can present the number of available spaces. It won't guide you to the open space, but it will consistently tell you that there are so many spaces available.
They're out there somewhere.
Yes, and then we've also gotten feedback that many airports say there's about a 5% error rate on those typically. And so that can be quite a bit when you're looking at a lot of spaces. So we have it on our budget for this year. We're going to be going out to bid either most likely in November. And so hopefully December or January, you'll be getting a board agenda item to approve a system for us to implement for the parking garage. But that's kind of where we're at with it. The lights are great. They're awesome. They're just so expensive.
I was in some giant airport that they were experimenting with them in the restaurant.
Yeah.
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 Which I thought was really helpful, but a lot of people, they didn't trust them at all. They were just like,
Yeah.
getting into the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, I mean, not having, like, we always talk about predictability, we want predictability here for our customers, and so not having a spot when you arrive is not the predictability we're wanting to have for our customers, and so I think it'll improve the customer experience tremendously.
Today we have just when it's no spaces and it says go to the economy lot.
Yeah. it's labor intensive. So our contractor goes and drives and looks and sees, and they're like, oh, we're out of spaces. They'll put the sign up and they'll reroute them up to the third level, or they'll put them in the economy. And if that's full, we have another lot that we can push them to overflow. So it's just labor intensive. Having this new system, one of the things we're going to want is data insights for Alexis and I, that we can click a button and see how is our parking capacity today. Versus waiting a week at every Friday, getting the report and saying, oh, we were 95% full in the garage all week. Okay, well, how do we manage that? So that's where we're wanting to get to from an operational standpoint.
Please forgive my corporate mindset, but the current rail car area, very premium parking. Is there any thought to increasing parking in that level, like a special rate for parking at that level? Is that being considered?
Yes.
Yes, so there is technology where we could charge a different rate for different locations. What's really popular in the industry right now is dynamic pricing. It's not something we've ever embarked on, but that's something that we can look at too, and then reserved parking. So holding those close-in spaces for people who want to pay for the premium product. But yeah, we want to maximize all of that revenue.
Do we still hold spaces? I know at one point we had like American Airlines had so many spaces. Do we still do that?
We have about 15 reserved parking spaces in the garage today. That people paid for.
Any more comments, questions?
No. Need a motion?
We do.
I move approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number 13.
Item 13 is approved change order number 11 with Flintstone LLC, the amount of $77,463.81 for the air traffic control tower and base building project. This compensates contractor for installation of a hydraulic piping throughout the facility. Mentioned recommend approval of item 13.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just have a quick question. Frank, do we have an approximate of, like, I see the percentage of changes, but we have an approximate, where are we in this job? Like, are we
I want to say
20% done, 10%?
about 60%.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. Thanks.
And the concern that I think I may have seen was, why are we having a change order for installation of pipe that should have been in the plan?
That was the thought, yeah.
There was some. You can't have a perfect set of plans, as it just costs too much. The consultant had, you need to meet all standards, building codes and so forth. And in another area, it says you need to follow the table, which basically was the table in the code for installation, but they didn't identify. They didn't show that table. So there may have been some confusion on the subcontractor's part. The subcontractor did insulate everything with, put in his bid, 1-inch insulation. And we said, where'd you come up with that? Now, well, that's just what we've used in the past. We think there was some missed on the consultant side, and we think there was some missed on the contractor side as well. The contractor originally had $130,000 for this, roughly. We've been working with the contractor, got him down to half. We said, okay, let's 50% on either side. Let's just get it done so that we can get this rolling and not delay the project any. So that's where that came from.
Good job on the value engineering.
Absolutely.
Negotiating it.
Okay, so we finished, right? Yeah. Number 13. Okay, number 14.
Number 14, 15, and 16, I'm withdrawing.
Number 17.
Number 17 is to approve a sublease agreement with Omni Aircraft Maintenance effective November 1st. This is a renewal of an existing agreement and just to expire.
You approve, move approval of 17.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 18 is to approve a mutual termination of concession agreement with Fulton Street Books effective October 24th. Fulton has announced their departure from Tulsa, and while they have enjoyed working at the airport, they have decided to go ahead and end that agreement, although she has said that she'd like to come back at some point in the future. So this is effective October 24th. And then we'll give her a little bit of time to get the kiosk out as well.
We have a motion,
So move.
Second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Number 19.
19 is to approve the sublease agreement with Joseph and Colleen Gilbert Living Trust dated October 1st, effective November 1st, for hangar B69 at Riverside Airport.
Motion,
move approval.
Second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Okay, no executive session, no new TAIT business, right?
Nope.
Any TA business? Okay, I need a motion. to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
You know, I just did that home.
There you go.